me let me see. Once you're ready, I will play the music. Okay, I think we're on.
Thank you, everybody, for flying with Spirit Airlines today.
I'd like to everybody remain your hands and feet inside the aircraft at all times because we're going for a bumpy ride.
Oh, it's going to be a very bumpy ride today.
Hey guys, it is your boy Raging Games and Share Snorlogs, also known as Jose and Aaron. We're here with your weekly dose of the Game Boys, where we talk about a little bit of everything: games, news, what's in politics, what's going on around the world, and why are we dying right away, and why are we not dying? So everything you can think of, all mixed in one. We have
Before I let you continue, can I just be addressed as the artist formerly known as Mads from now on? Thank you very much.
okay. The artist formerly known as Mavs has spoken.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, Matt. So I think we're online to all three. It looks like. And first article, I guess, is we're going to start off with is a Happy Juneteenth, Mavs. Happy Juneteenth.
Early Juneteenth.
Early Juneteenth. We have this broadcast is being recorded on the 15th, so we should have 4 days before. But it looks like Congress, the Senate on Tuesday has passed legislation to recognize Juneteenth as a legal public holiday. Making Juneteenth a federal holiday is a major step forward to recognizing the wrongs of the past, but we must continue to work to ensure equal justice and fulfill the promise of Emancipation Proclamation in our Constitution, said Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in a statement earlier today. What do you think? Are they just trying to pull something out their ass, or we finally have enough representation in the Senate to make changes? I love that laugh. So the answer is no.
Oh, hell no. Are you kidding me? It's like the tiny little grain of sand at the very bottom of the fucking pyramid.
Like, here you go. Here's a little bit of
Here's a
cheese.
little speck of fucking sand. Enjoy this little crumb of food. Enjoy this little crumb of equality. That's my point of view on that. Goddamn.
I agree. It is just like a. They're trying to make us feel a little bit better, but it's just nothing. It's not gonna work as long as they can make it on like possibly Juneteenth, make it a weekend and give us a day off. Maybe we'll talk then. But if they just said it was gonna be a legal public holiday, does that mean we have to take the day off? That doesn't mean that they're gonna give us a day off either. It's not like we're suddenly gonna have a Labor Day. Oh, we have Juneteenth coming up. We can take that day off. Don't worry about it. No one works on Juneteenth. That would be amazing, though. I would take that. I wouldn't work it. I just don't want to work.
That would be a start.
I just don't want to work, and this is why they call us lazy.
Yeah, that's true.
But I personally am one of the hardest working people I know. So I don't know about everybody else, but I would like to stop working, retire to a beach, talk to everybody over the broadcast, and say hi. Like in other news, Juneteenth being passed by the Senate, it still has to be moved over to Congress, right? To the House, be passed there.
And it's up to them, and then the president. One of them fucks it up.
One of them's gonna fuck it up. Remember that Juneteenth is celebrated annually on June 19th and is already recognized as a holiday in 45 states, commemorated the end of slavery in the Confederate States. While President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation to free states on January 1st, 1863, it took another 2.5 years before some 2,500 slaves in Texas learned of their freedom on June 19th, 1865. Of course it was Texas.
Of course. Gotcha.
Of course it was Texas. We are very gung ho down here, yo, buddy. Hey, buddy, now. But slavery in the U.S. was formally outlawed when the 13th Amendment was ratified on December 1985. So all this information comes from Politico.com. So Just you can look up Politico Juneteenth. You'll find everything I just said here. So I
Because
guess
soon they won't be teaching it in schools.
speaking of Texas, the Texas power grid apparently is going to collapse at any minute. We can't handle this much power.
Like insert meme of GTA. Ah shit, here we go again.
Here we go again. On Monday, when soaring temperatures drove electricity demands in Texas to a June record, state regulators asked citizens to use less power or face a repeat of the deadly failures in February that left 69% of Texans without electricity and half without water. Experts say that Texas, which prides itself on its light regulatory touch, is paying the price as climate change is contributing to weather extremes in both summer and winter. The vulnerability of the state's power system is becoming increasingly apparent. The result of a system that's been cutting corners and trying to have just enough power to get by, which is fine until a couple things go wrong and we're left in the edge of the blackouts again, said Daniel Cohen, an associate professor of civil and environmental engineering at Rice University in Houston. He compared the situation in Texas with someone trying to save a little money by going without insurance. I mean, it's really cheap until it's not. Dr. Cohen said.
That's some wise words right there. It's cheap till ain't not.
It's really cheap until it's not. The state lawmakers passed legislation last month to address some of the issues that led to February disaster, but it may not be enough. The requirements laid out by legislation have already been criticized as inadequate. And the next weather predicament may have already arrived, apparently. We're going to die down here, guys. We're going to burn because our government is sucks.
Complete shit show.
It's really cheap until it's not. That's great. The memes have been also on point. Mavs, you brought up one earlier that the artist formerly known as Mavs brought up one earlier. What was it again?
It's the come and take it, but like
come and change it. Come and take it.
Come and change it.
But they replaced the thermostat. Oh, excuse me.
Speaking of memes, here's one with Zelda from the Ocarina of Time, I believe. It's just a pride parade with a little logo that says "Acceptance Matters." And then Link brings a magnifying glass to his eye. Behind the magnifying glass, he sees what the sign truly says. Give us your money, homos.
Give us your money. That's just Texas. That's just Chick-fil-A. Speaking of bad Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A profits are being used to push anti-trans state laws to kill the Equity Act. Christian billionaires like Chick-fil-A's Dan Cathy and Betsy DeVos are funding one of the most sophisticated dark money operations to roll back LGBTQ rights. You're speaking of Christian millionaire.
So fuck Chick-fil-A.
They got excellent chicken.
Fuck them with a cactus. I don't care about them no more. I haven't had their sandwiches in years, and I can say that pretty much any other chicken place out there is better than them.
I always wanted to ask every single Chick-fil-A employee that I think is gay, hey, how does it feel working for someone that's like actively trying to push back your rights? And then see what they say.
A job is a job.
A job is a job. He have a good point. The artist,
especially nowadays.
Job is a job. Which reminds me, that guy owes me $50.
Get him.
Chick-fil-A has been assuring customers for nearly a decade that has stopped donating to anti-LGBTQ causes, only be caught doing so time and time again. Now, the fast food chain's billionaire co-owner is using the company's profits to fund hate groups that are passing anti-transgender bills all over the country in a campaign to stop the Equality Act from becoming law. A new report from the Daily Beast exposes the operations being run through the National Christian Charitable Foundation, the sixth largest charity in the U.S. The group's donors include some of the wealthiest social conservatives in the country, like Chick-fil-A CEO and Chairman Dan Cathy, former Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos's Family Foundation, the Hobby Lobby, and the Ouch family. The report comes as Equity Act stalls in the Senate. The Equity Act would add sexual orientation and gender identity to existing federal civil rights legislations. As polls well, 70% of voters say that they support it in the poll this past March, but it's still far from getting close to the 60 votes necessary in the Senate to pass. That the bill has been passed after being introduced in Congress in some form for decades has been something of a mystery. Sources that the bill hasn't passed is it's been like a form of mystery. Sources of the Capitol say in April that Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia, has not come out in support of the bill and has been subjective in a massive call-in campaign organized by Christian groups that the calls have been 1,001 against the Equality Act. Meanwhile, dozens of states are considering passing legislation to limit LGBTQ and particularly transgender rights. Legislations that lawmakers often don't really understand or can't explain how it relates to their state. Alliance Defending Freedom, a SPLC designated hate group, is believed to be behind this effort. It just goes on, more and more. It's just more Republicans just hate on the gays.
Like, I don't understand why they're so pressed. Like, why are they so bothered by fucking homosexual?
It's repressed. It's repressedness. They can't be gay themselves, and it's not okay to be gay because they can't be gay. It's not okay for you to be gay. Fuck them, piece of shits.
Ew, no. I have standards. I wouldn't fuck one.
I wouldn't fuck one. These are the senators that are caught diddling young lads at the gay clubs outside DC. You know,
they're the ones who hang out with fucking Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I'm gonna say.
Exactly.
Close friends with him.
Speaking of like West Virginia,
like former President Trump.
Like, let's see,
impeached twice President Trump.
We almost got him up, but not really. Speaking of West Virginia, apparently they're also giving away guns as a vaccine incentive. West Virginia will be giving away guns as an incentive to get residents of the state to inoculate against COVID-19.
Is this why the rest of the world hates America?
Yeah, this is from thehill.com, by the way, guys. So just so you know, the last report about Chick-fil-A hating the gays was from LGBTnation.com. So we're trying to say open source here. We're also gonna double check our articles. So if anybody has anything to say that you think that is wrong, feel free to put an article against it, and we'll double check it. We'll
write it down in a piece of paper.
We are
throw it in the trash can and light it on fire.
I was gonna say we have integrity as journalists here.
It's Pride Month. I can be as sassily gay as I want to be.
West Virginia announced that a new incentive lottery program for residents to get vaccinated during a news conference last Tuesday. The drawing will run from Father's Day on June 20th to August 4th. Will include a variety of prizes from cash to firearms to even trucks. That's right, they're giving away the trucks during the Father's Day drawing. The state will give away.
You know what? Yeah, definitely go do it. Go fucking get your free gun or your free truck. As long as you get vaccinated, that's all that matters.
During the Father's Day drawing, the state will give away 5 custom hunting rifles and 5 custom hunting shotguns. It's not bad. The justice said,
well, at least it's like hunting shotguns and hunting rifles, not like some fucking other high-powerful weapon that is going to kill somebody else.
Governor Justice said the state will also give away 2 brand new custom outfitted trucks and 5 lifetime hunting and fishing licenses. In addition, they're giving away 2 brand new custom outfitted trucks and 5 lifetime hunting and fishing licenses, like a license.
Motherfucker. Sons of bitches! What? It's just not fair.
It's only two. In addition, residents can win one of 25 getaways to West Virginia state parks. Um,
A
also,
lifetime license.
yeah, they're gonna kill you in
You
a
know
couple
how
days.
precious that could be?
They're gonna kill you in like 2 years. So your
I could
lifetime.
be like, I could be a legit character from Hunter x Hunter. I'm gonna have lifetime license for hunting and fishing.
You're gonna be able to get enough experience to actually go. What is Hunter x Hunter based on? They go compete in something, right? Best hunters
Uh,
around.
the they go through the hunter exam to get their license,
Uh
so
huh.
they can go out into the world and hunt monsters or hunt villains or hunt other hunters who are bad or become assassins and whatnot. But you have to
Okay.
compete and pass the exam before you can go out and do that.
Gotcha. So once you get the free license, yeah, you're good to go. You can kill as many hunters as you want.
Hell yeah!
Also,
Go poaching for poachers.
apparently, also during the June 20th lottery, one person will win $1 million. There will be also a giveaway to two full 4-year scholarships to any tuition in the state eligible students between 12 and 25. The state will further give away another $1 million for 5 weeks in a row. On August 4th, one person will win a grand prize of $1.58 million, and a runner-up will win $588,000. Governor Justice said to be eligible, all residents need to do is get their first dose of the COVID vaccine dose. Anyone who has already been vaccinated is also eligible to win. Last week, Governor Justice encouraged residents to go get vaccinated for his bulldog baby dog. If you won't do it for your family, you gotta get vaccinated for baby dog, he said. Also, last week, the governor announced that young adults aged 16 to 35 were eligible for a savings bond or $100 gift card to the state government when they're vaccinated. Huh.
Living in the wrong state.
Been living in the wrong state. This is West Virginia though, so.
Mm.
Let's see. Knockout conspiracy. No. Texas. Yeah, we were talking about Texas. Uh, do we want to go into politics just yet? Let's go see. Right, what's this? What's this?
Where's the sound coming from?
There it is. Okay, stop. Where is the sound coming? It's one of the.
Somebody's tabs open.
There's an article. So it was our commercial break. Atlanta police have arrested a 22-year-old man for shooting at 3 people and wounding a local father of 3 who was out for his morning walk and then seriously injured a man after hitting him with his car during a crime spree through one of the state's wealthiest zip codes over the weekend. Authority announced on last Monday. Andrew Worrell was walking in Atlanta's Buckhead neighborhood around like 8:35 a.m. on Saturday when he shot twice, according to police, and his apparent wife, Anna Paris. And his apparent wife, according to police and his apparent wife. Purse Worrell wrote in a Facebook post after the shooting that her husband was about 1 mile through his 3-mile walk when a car identified by police as a silver Hyundai sedan rolled up to him. The very tinted window rolled down and a gun just pointed at him and shot him. Shot the dad. The gunman identified as 22-year-old Ghislaine Newsom first shot Worrell in the leg, then fired another round at Andrew, turned up and ran. The second shot went through Andrew's hip and the ball socket joint and into his lower abdomen before landing in his right hip. Neeson fled the scene, but Worrell was conscious and was able to provide investigators with a description of his attacker. He was rushed to the area hospital where his wife and investigators met with him. Once I was able to see him with my own eyes, I couldn't believe it was really happening. 2 other joggers were shot around the time of the shooting, though no one else was injured. At news conferences later in the day, Deputy Atlanta Police Charles Hampton Jr. said that Newsom went went on to crash into and seriously injure a man in his 20s. Oof. According to police, the man was struck hours later while he was taking out the trash. He was rushed to a local hospital and he was hurried into surgery, Hampton said. Newsom was taken into custody roughly 1 mile away from the initial shooting at the scene of the crash, police said. Hampton said he might have been experiencing some type of mental health crisis. He was charged late Saturday with murder, criminal attempt to commit murder, and 3 counts of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. As for Andrew Worrell, the white guy who got shot, Anna continues to provide updates on her Facebook friends regarding her husband's condition. She wrote on Monday that her doctors cleared her husband to be brought back home later in the day. So some white dude in the richest neighborhood in Atlanta got shut up by some dude having a mental health crisis. But this guy to be fair, this guy looks like he could have just been having a really bad trip and decided to go have some fun and ended up hurting some people. This is not in any way what's it called, encouraged.
Well, it says there's somebody with a mental health crisis. That's like, Jesus. One of the things that I do want to completely support is like pushing funds from the police to like a hotline for like this specific type of situation.
Yeah, like he ran into another dude with his car. Jesus. Okay, so Atlanta's having issues over there. What else? Texas, just the electric grid operators kept telling us to stop blasting our ACs, and we say no. Biden pushes the China threat at G7. That's political. So apparently there's a growing lonely death crisis going on in Japan as cleanup service just dedicated to clean up after people die lonely is increasing in business. It's kind of bad for them. In Japan, loneliness has become a serious problem, where increased lonely deaths, where people die alone and remain undiscovered for a long time. There's a whole article on CNN we were watching earlier. It's like 3 minutes, but kind of depressing. I just want to touch back on it and say that, guys, we should really check up on our Japanese friends. Everybody, it's a tough time in this world. We all need to stick in together, but we should probably check up on them. Like, not here in the States. I mean, like, actually people in Japan. Don't just go over and talk to your neighbor who just happens to be Japanese. That's bullshit.
I mean, do that too. Like, also,
stay neighborly towards your neighbor. Yes, that too.
You're always supposed to be neighborly towards your neighbor until they fuck you over, and then you fuck them over, and then you make up, and then you fuck each other over again. And it's like an endless cycle. That's like what neighbors do.
I thought you said the end and you just fuck each other after dinner.
Exactly.
So yeah, just everybody, if you have people that live in Japan, check up on them. Jeff Bezos is going to space for 11 minutes, and let's see how risky it is. According to CNN Business, Jeff Bezos can have anything apparently. He can circle the globe in a private jet or sell it forever in a fleet of mega yachts. He could afford to buy the whole NFL. He could buy an fuck. Why can't I say archaeological? Archipelago?
Archipelago?
Archipelago.
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 Archipelago. Archipelago. There we go.
Can't speak right now, but he could buy a whole archipelago for his family and his friends. He'd buy over 65,000 Bugatti Chirons, based at a base price.
You know,
that's
million. All cool and all about Jeff Bezos, but props goes out to his ex-wife. She has been making multiple donations in millions to, like, pretty much put the money back that Jeff Bezos stole into the communities.
But the whole point of me is saying what he can afford. He might be the richest person in the world. The possibility is endless, but apparently he's just risking it all for 11 minutes in space. And his ship looks like a penis. His
That
Do you see that? His rocket looks like a penis. The end. Do you see, Matt? Do you see this?
where?
The stream. I'm streaming it to you on here at Discord.
Yes, I see it.
His rocket looks like a penis.
Yes, it's very phallic shaped.
The answer isn't what you might expect. Space travel historically is fraught with danger, though the risks are not necessarily astronomical for Bezos, Johnson to the cosmos. As a space company, Blue Origin has spent the better part of the last decade running the suborbital New Shepard rocket. He'll be riding in through the series of successful test flights. Also, being in space is Bezos' lifelong dream. Still, what Bezos
Not
is
Bezos.
his brother Mark Bezos and the winner of an online auction will be doing going on the very first crewed flight of New Shepard, a fully autonomous suborbital rocket and spacecraft system designed to take the ticket holders on a brief joyride to space. Not entirely without risk, though. Here's what Bezos' flight might look like, and to the extent which people are taking their lives in their hands when they go into outer space these days. When most people think about space flights, they think about the astronauts circling the Earth, floating in space, at least for a few days. That's not what the Bezos brothers and his fellow passenger will be doing. They're going up and coming right back down, and they're doing it in less time, about 11 minutes, than it takes most people to get to work. The suborbital flight differs greatly from orbital flights of the type most of us think whenever we think of space flights. Blue Origin's New Shepard flights will be brief, up and down trips, though they will go more than 62 miles above Earth, which is widely considered to be edge of outer space. Orbital rockets need to drum up enough power to hit at least 17,000 miles per hour, otherwise known as orbital velocity, essentially giving a spacecraft enough energy to continue whipping it around Earth rather than being dragged immediately back down by gravity. Suborbital flights require far less power and speed. This means less time the rocket is required to burn, lower temperatures scorching the outside of the spacecraft, less force and compression ripping at the spacecraft, and generally fewer opportunities for something to go very, very wrong. New Shepard's suborbital flights hit about 3 times the speed of sound, roughly 2,300 miles per hour, fly directly upwards until the rocket expends most of its fuel. The crew capsule will then separate from the rocket at the top of the trajectory and briefly continue upwards before the capsule almost hovers at the top of its initial path, giving the passengers a few minutes of weightlessness. It works sort of like an extended version of the weightlessness you've experienced when you reach the peak of a roller coaster hill, just before the gravity brings your cart, or in Bezos' case, your space capsule, screaming back down towards the ground. And you see a little, I'm showing Matt this little nice diagram they show here of the spacecraft going up and immediately coming back down. It's like, I'm going up and I'm coming down. The New Shepard capsule then deploys a large plume of parachutes to slow its descent in less than 20 miles per hour before it hits the ground. So it's trying to slow down very fast. Which is kind of funny, kind of contradicts what I just said. The rocket, flying separately, reignites its engine and uses its onboard computers to execute a pinpoint upright landing. The booster landing rockets look similar to what SpaceX does with its Falcon 9 rockets, though these rockets are far more powerful than New Shepards, and yes, more prone to exploding on impact. How big are the risks? Blue Origin's New Shepard capsule, which is fully autonomous and does not require a pilot, has never had an explosive mishap in 15 test flights. Excuse me. And the nature of Bezos flights means it comes with some inherently lower risks than more ambitious space travel attempts, but that doesn't mean the risk is zero either, because suborbital flights don't require as much speed or intense process of trying to re-enter Earth's atmosphere at incredible speeds. They're considered much less risky than orbital flights. When orbital re-entry, a spacecraft's internal temperatures can reach up to like 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and astronauts can experience 4.5 Gs of gravity that is also placed upon the spacecraft, and all while ever-thickening atmosphere whips around the capsule. High speeds and high altitudes come with inherent risks, and even small errors can have big consequences. Earth's atmosphere is generally not considered survivable for significant amounts of time above altitudes of 50,000 feet without a spacesuit, and spaces will be traveling, and the bases will be traveling to 3,500,000 feet. But the capsule he travels will be pressurized, so he doesn't need like a special spacesuit to keep him safe or anything. We're getting amber alerts over here, which is not good. Amber Alert, DPS issued a blue alert on behalf of the Wise County Sheriff's Office.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the fucking description because it's like
It's very
it's
long.
literally every single white guy out there. Like every 43-year-old, like every 40 to 50-year-old white guy out there. So that's the same thing.
Oh lordy. Somewhere wrong? YouTube. What's wrong with YouTube? Are we dying YouTube? Let's switch accounts. Cool. So we're live everywhere. That's good. We were talking about the Bezos space. He's gonna fall. He's gonna die. We got interrupted by the Amber Alert guys. Keep out. Look for a 45-year-old white guy. That's what we can. What's the truck? What car is he riding around in?
Oh, did not give description of vehicle.
Oh, okay. So no description of vehicle. I can't find it anymore. Okay. So look out for a white guy. The spacecraft is, but the capsule he travels in will be pressurized, so that they apparently wear a suit. But if he'll have access to oxygen mask if the camera loses pressure. Spacecraft also equipped with a board system designed to jettison the New Shepard capsule and parachute away from the rocket in case of emergency. There's also backup safety features that help the capsule land gently, even in a couple of its parachutes and fail to deploy. But even so, there's no way to absolutely guarantee that he'll return alive. Even though suborbital flights are less risky than orbital flights, they can be deadly. One of the Virgin Galactic suborbital space planes, for example, broke apart in 2014 whenever the vehicle's co-pilots prematurely deployed their feathering system designed to keep the craft stable as it made its descent. The added drag on the plane ripped it to pieces, killing one of the pilots. Damn. The Blue Origin competitor Virgin Galactic has since had 3 successful test flights of the revamped version of the Spaceship Two spaceplane. Blue Origin has not encountered similar tragic incidents during the testing phase, though. As an old industry adage goes, space is hard. But Bezos has indicated the risk is worth it. He wants to go to space.
You know what? If I was Jeff Bezos, I would do some crazy shit like for my will.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't leave my inheritance to anyone. I would have them hold a Hunger Games for it.
Just Hunger Games for your for all the money and and then it's like a plan that they have to follow too, but they don't know the plan. It's like they won't know the plan until they find the money, and they can't get the money unless they do the plan.
Yeah, it's just like typical Hunger Games. The winner just gets all the money and the fortune and the companies.
Except it's not just like 3 people. It's 3 people representing 3 countries across the world, and these 3 countries are China, U.S., and Russia.
Oh hell no! Let anybody enter.
Oh God! Speaking of countries around the world, a robot is killing weeds by zapping them with electricity, and this is a new thing in London. Here, according to CNS Business, on the fields of England, 3 robots have been given a mission to find and zap weeds with electricity before planting seeds in the clear soil. The robots, named Tom, Dick, and Harry, were developed by a small robot company to rid land of unwanted weeds with minimal use of chemicals and heavy machinery. Oh, without the unwanted, they were developing they wanted to rid the land of unwanted weeds with minimal use of chemicals and heavy machinery. Okay, minimal use. The startup has been working with autonomous weed killers since 2017, and this April launched Tom, its very first commercial robot with which is now operational on three UK farms. The other robots are still in prototype stages, undergoing testing. Small robots says robot Tom can scan 20 acres, 20 hectares, 49 acres a day, collecting data on which is used by Dick, a crop care robot, to zap weeds. Then it's robot's job, Harry, to turn the plant seeds. No, then it's robot's Harry's turn to plant the seeds in the weed-free soil. So
It's
Tom's
just random data. Oh my god.
so small robot has Tom scan the field all day. He has to look at the field all day. Tom has to look at the field all day. Then he says, "All right, Dick, go out there. I need you to crop care the field." And then he fucking starts zapping the weeds. As soon as Dick is done, it's Harry's job to go plant some seeds. God damn it, Tom, Dick, and Harry. Using the full system, once it's up and running, farmers can reduce costs by 40% and chemical uses up to 95%.
But how effective would it be to, like, how easily can it be manufactured, and how easily can it be pushed to the farms? Is it going to be something cheap, or is it going to be something that's going to be expensive?
The rivets? It's happening. It's currently being developed for London. They don't have that much farmland to begin with, so it's not going to be that expensive for them. But if we put a Tom, Dick, and Harry in every farm in the United States, it would probably cost a good decent chunk of money. Not that much considering what we need to make all the food now, but it would probably take a while for Tom, Dick, and Harry to get the job done here in the U.S. Not even just Tom, Dick, and Harry can come over here. Zapping the weeds. Small robot says to raise over $900 million in research for the system. The Scott Robinsons say that the company hopes to launch its full system of robots by 2023, which will be offered as a service at a rate around $568 per hectare, which is bigger than an acre. The monitoring robot is placed at the farm first, and the weeding and planting robots are delivered only when the data shows they are needed. So just like the monitoring robot is always there, Tom's always there, but Dick and Harry come later.
So basically, the UK is automating their farming industry.
Yeah.
Since it's like so small that they have the resources to actually do it.
And they don't have to use. They're trying to use less chemicals and like less machines, less big machines. So they don't have to destroy the.
Okay.
By zapping, to developing zapping technology, root wave, it creates a current that goes through the roots of the plants, through the soil, then back up, which completely destroys the weed. This is the zapping technology that Small Robot is using. It's developed by another UK-based startup, Rootwave. We can go through each individual plant that is threatening the crop plants and take it out, says Scott Robinson. It's not as fast as it would be if you went out to spray the entire field. But you have to bear in mind we only have to go into parts of the field where the weeds are. Plants that are neutral or beneficial to the crops are left untouched. Small robots calls their per plant farming a type of precise agriculture where every plant is accounted for and monitored. So since they have, like you were saying, since they have such a smaller area, like a smaller whole area for farming, you can monitor it all. Imagine that here. Like, imagine just the whole state of why can't we just turn the whole state of Kansas into one big farm? It's already a farm already.
Just repurpose the entire state of Kansas just to farming and farming only.
Farming only, no cities, no tourists, not farming, only farming, nothing else. Kansas is farmland. That way we can just systematically we just build a giant Tom, Dick, and Harry system over Kansas.
Genius. Get to it, FBI agents.
You're listening, right? In a business case. For Kit Franklin, an agriculture engineer lecturer from Harper Adams University, efficiency remains a hurdle apparently for this. There's no doubt in my mind that the electrical system works, but if you can cover 100 acres a day with a large-scale sprayer, if we want to go into this really precise weed killing system, we have to realize there's going to be an output reduction that's going to be very hard to overcome. But Franklin believes farmers will adapt technology if they see it as a business case. There's a realization that farming is an environmentally friendly way. It's also a way of farming in an efficient way, using less input where we need them. It's going to save us money, and it's going to be good for the environment and the perception of the farmers, as well as reducing the use of chemicals. Small robots want to improve the soil quality and the biodiversity. If you treat the living environment like an industrial process, then you are ignoring the complexity of it. We're gonna have to change farming now, and otherwise, there won't be anything else to farm. Damn.
Well, shit.
That was heavy at the end.
Yeah, that really. Holy shit, made me look like a real dick. Fuck.
Where are you guys chatting from? Oh, we're just in the Discord in our private channel, Soda. We're doing the podcast. Come listen. Give us ideas, but only through chats. COVID. Since everybody's finally surviving COVID, we're mostly all like kind of pushing through. There are some parts around the world that are still fucking dying, but COVID lifted Prague's hangover, it looks like, and now the city just wants to quit partying. According to CNN Travel, strolling across the Charles Bridge or having a dinner under Prague's famous astronomical clock is not something most locals would consider either fun or bearable, but unless it turns out they do it in the middle of a pandemic. The restrictions on travel were put in place because of the coronavirus and slashed the numbers of visitors to the Czech capital by more than 73% in 2020, according to the city's officials. While disastrous for Prague's economy, the tourist exodus was a revelation for many of the citizens who were suddenly able to reclaim the city and enjoy the beauty of a slower pace. Prague's historical center became livable again. Its political and community leaders are trying to find a way to keep it that way, even after the crowds of tourists return. And like, hey guys, don't come back, don't come back. All these beautiful places suddenly reemerge, says Matej Velek. All the glitz, the cheap, tacky souvenir, and the flashy signs that were trying to lure you to spend money, all this stuff vanished incredibly quickly once tourists disappeared. Velek, Prague born and bred, belongs to a growing contingent of locals trying to revive the city's many forgotten public spaces. He's one of the team behind the Karsana Karlin, a part of community meeting spots, a bear garden with an open air cinema, a playground, and a cafe with an abandoned swimming pool. The venue occupies a huge courtyard of disused military barracks in Karlin, a neighborhood that was badly damaged during Prague's devastating 2002 flood. The state-owned building has been deserted for years, awaiting possible renovation at some point in the future when Valek and his team managed to convince the authorities to allow local nonprofit to use the venue for community and cultural purposes until the redevelopment starts. Ever since the opening in 2017, it's become one of the neighborhood's favorite spots. And while the complex has seen a lot of bureaucratic back and forth involving various government departments in recent years, Karsana Karlin has become something of a blueprint for the community project. So much that the representatives of other cities visit the venue to get the know-how. Karsana Karlin is far from a Lone Star in the neighborhood, less than 5 minutes away. Another abandoned building has recently turned into a baroque and artsy cafe featuring local musicians and artists. Down the river and Harbor 18600 now hosts open-air cinema, music events, and lectures. In spaces that used to be illegal, and it used to be an illegal dump site just a few years ago. Karsana Common's success among the locals have earned a spot in the guidebooks like Lonely Planet. Slowly, it's become a place where residents mix with tourists. It's so unusual in Prague. Locals tend to stay away from many of the touristy places, while visitors rarely venture outside the historical center. It's something the city is keen to change. Prague has been a magnet for tourists for a long time, but the rising number have become a worry for its residents, who feel overrun by the rowdy groups looking for a big night out. Prague Mayor Zdeněk Harib told CNN last year that the city welcomed 9 million tourists in 2019. That's the same number as Rome, which is twice the size of Prague. He said, admitting that the swelling numbers of tourists, some coming primarily just to party, have been causing problems. Like other cities in similar situations, he had put in place a nighttime mayor whose task is to find a better way to handle the crowds. Harib has also stepped up to the attempts to rid the city of fraudulent tourist traps and visual pollution, and help regulate the streets help regulate the likes of Airbnb. These types of services have very negative impact on the residents' quality of life, mostly because of noise. They also make housing more affordable for young people. So finding a solution is a priority. Harib seems trying to keep keen to reinvent Prague as a more just a bachelor party destination. We care more about the we care the most for more conscientious tourists who respect the fact that tourism must be not detriment to the lives of the locals. A detriment to the lives of the locals. Prague cannot simply just be an open air museum for tourists. We need to stop the outflow of locals from the city center. What? Oh, it just bellows. Let me get it up. Okay. Right now we'll be back with a quick commercial break. Aaron, you want to cover for like 30 seconds?
Sure. Well, how's everybody doing? I guess in the meantime, I'm just gonna talk about how I went to Vegas for like the past week. Holy shit, it's exhausting. Oh shit. Oh fuck yeah. It did take the complete wind out of me. But overall, Vegas is great. A great pastime over there. The nightlife is interesting. Definitely the best part of Vegas. It's really, really boring during the day. Not much to do. You can probably go gamble, but not much. That's about it. But
All right, I'm back.
the
What I miss?
I don't know. Just talking about how I went to Vegas.
Oh yeah, Vegas. How was Vegas? Like, you didn't tell me all the juicy details besides like the normal. How everybody loves to treat tourists. Speaking of tourists, like how was your experience as a tourist in Vegas this time?
That was actually amazing.
A post-COVID Vegas.
The same as the fucking last time I went to Vegas, to be honest.
It was the same. It didn't feel any different.
Yeah. No, not really.
Did you find a dude jacking off outside of CVS?
No, but we did see an elderly man falling inside one of the shopping centers.
You saw an elderly man just falling?
No, crawling.
Oh, crawling. What?
Yeah. These people almost got in a fight when we were on the line for the high roller.
Oh God. Okay.
Because you know how sometimes you get in line and like you stay in the spot and wait for your friends to get there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what these people did, and the people behind them thought that they were cutting. And holy shit! He like went off in them, called security and whatnot. They just let them go ahead of everyone, and then just like forget about them, and just everything went back to normal.
Just she went Karen, and she had no regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did you guys try the zip lines? I didn't show you that last time. Did you go to Old Vegas and try the zip lines through the what is it called? Um, you know, in Old Vegas where they had the screens over like the streets. Did you guys have you ever?
Oh,
Did you ever go to Old Vegas? Did I take you? Did we go to Old Vegas while we were over there last time?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. But next time,
I
in
know
Old Vegas.
the hotel we stayed in had the zip lines too.
Oh, nice. Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Did you
it's
try
the
those?
link. Yeah, no, I didn't. We did just get on the high roller, which is the giant Ferris wheel thing.
Oh, that's the high roller. That's what the Ferris
Yeah,
wheel. I always looked at the Ferris wheel and I thought like, should I get on? Eh, and I never did.
honestly, I would recommend it if you're like really tripping on some good weed, or if you manage to get some shrooms over there. Highly recommend it. You'll probably be amazed at how beautiful the city looks at it. If you go at night, like the view is really beautiful. I would recommend it if you're like into that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, since they get some like get
Oh,
some.
and then our first Uber driver, he was telling us a bunch of other stuff. The one who got us our free joints and the shop for my sister. Apparently, one of the new casinos that was going to be opening soon. They're one of the only ones that accept cryptocurrencies.
Who? The dispensaries?
No, a casino.
Oh, oh wait, a whole casino doesn't accept cryptocurrency now?
Yeah,
Huh.
and so one of the newest ones that's supposed to. I think the construction got delayed a lot because of COVID,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it might be probably launching sometime next year or towards the end of the year. But
Wow.
yeah, it's going to be one of the only ones that is going to be accepting cryptocurrencies for bets.
That's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it's progress. Like you just like come back and like, oh yeah, we accept fake money now. Congratulations. It's not fake
you can
money,
take your
but
fake money and turn it into real money and just cash out.
and cash out and then leave. Like, okay, bye, losers.
Oh God, that's gonna. Oh my God, that is a terrible. No, nobody take my idea. Oh no, that's gonna happen a lot. I can already see it.
Let's see. I think.
Oh, and one of the other things that fucking we watched a lot of South Park, and the fucking episode where the wrestling episode came on.
A newer one or
It's
an older
definitely
one?
a
A newer one or an older one? Which one are you talking about?
for South Park.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's like
The
a,
took it sober.
they took our jobs one.
Yeah.
Oh God, I haven't seen that one in forever.
Definitely a different perspective watching it back and now knowing everything that's behind the scenes in the WWE.
Oh. Oh, that's funny. I know you're talking about now. Holy. Okay. Just like.
Yeah, you definitely view it differently than I viewed it when I first came out back in the day.
Oh yeah. Well, we were kids. We thought it was shit was real still. I think we're mostly done with the news. Biden says he pushes China threat at the G7 and NATO, but the European leaders say they tread carefully.
Mhm.
Israel launched airstrikes in Gaza in response to incendiary balloons launched from a coastal enclave, apparently. So some shit's going down in Israel. The Proud Boys descend into dysfunction and finger pointing as some members were arrested at the U.S. Capitol. New messages show. So the Proud Boys are falling apart. Stupid boys over
That's what
here.
happens when you build your foundation on snitches. They're all a bunch of snitches.
They're all a bunch of snitches. A private Proud Boys chat audio chat. A private Proud Boys audio chat that was made public Tuesday shows how the right wing group fell into dysfunction and finger pointing as the members got arrested at the U.S. Capitol riot. Defense attorney for Ethan Norton, a leader of the Proud Boys of Washington State, released a rough transcript of the audio messages at the court filing. The FBI, which had seized Norton's cell phone, found the audio clips and the Telegram app and produced a transcript. Prosecutors gave it to Norton's lawyers as part of their legal obligations to turn over evidence to criminal defendants. We are fucked. They're coming for us, one member said, according to court filings. Say the chat happened on February 1st as National Manhunt for the Capitol riots ramped up. Another member says in
Can
the
I get a
situation.
copy of that? Can I get a copy of that audio file so I can get the sound waves and get them tattooed on my arm? We're fucked. They're coming for us.
Completely fucked. King crashes and burns on us. Another member said in the situation. The same person went on to criticize other Proud Boys who handled the communications and security on January 6th, saying, I mean, fuck! Tifa looks like professionals compared to us! Referring to Antifa.
Oh my god, I didn't think it could get better. I want that audio file and send it.
The same person, like the way he says, like he went to like, I mean, fuck, Antifa looks better like professionals compared to us. The message became public on the same day. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced new efforts by the Justice Department to crack down on domestic terrorism and extremism.
Oh my god.
Prosecutors have focused aggressively on the Proud Boys and other right-wing extremist groups as they investigate the January 6th assault on the Capitol. Some members of these groups say they came to Washington, D.C. at the invitation of then-President Donald Trump, and that their goal was to prevent Congress from certifying President Joe Biden's victory. In the Proud Boy chat, someone called the Proud Boys leader Enrico Tarian to resign. Torino was arrested in D.C. in unrelated charges one day before the riots. Okay, he was doing something else illegal. The audio chat contained other debates about the group's leaders, whether they were still doing a good job, the role the indicted members should play in the group, and whether they should continue doing rallies. I understand where we're at in the frat, Norton said, according to the court filing from his lawyers. I understand that we've taken some risks that we shouldn't have taken. We've done some things that we shouldn't have done. Okay, but they've been done, and we need to learn from them. Norton also said that he was no longer a Trump supporter, according to the rough transcript. One member was shocked by the potential prison sentences for people convicted of the most serious offenses related to January 6th. They said, 20 goddamn years? Man, no matter what we do, they're going to throw a fucking book at us. Another member discussed federal conviction rates and prison terms and suggested that the best option might be to plead guilty. As a member said he thought the group decided against going to D.C. for January 6th, he said he was confused and upset that members ended up going and hurting the group's public image. So one person saying that he didn't want them to go.
Well, what to do for you?
Norton's lawyers released the message as part of an attempt to get him out of jail. They claimed the Justice Department withheld the message before the critical detention hearing in April. His lawyer said that he made it clear in the call that he didn't want to hold any more rallies, that he could allay the judge's concerns for future rallies could lead more political violence. He has pleaded not guilty and charged alongside 3 other Proud Boys leaders. More than 24 members of the right-wing organization have been charged with the January 6th assault on the Capitol. 24 members. Serves them fucking right. You charged the Capitol of the United States. What else do you guys think was gonna happen? Fucking Proud Boys, more like dumb boys. Fucking idiots. Fucking 4-head, 5-head.
They fucked around and found out.
They fucked around and found out. And I said, some things should have been done, and it's time to learn from our mistakes. I'm sorry. Okay, we're 20 years. You're going to jail. What? I thought we were gonna learn from mistakes. Yeah, that's how you learn from your mistakes. You're going to jail. Good. Serves them right. Fucking idiots. And then the lawyer trying to pull out that one statement saying that we shouldn't go to to Washington. It's a bad idea to try to get him out of jail. That's how big a snitches they all are.
Serves them right.
In the middle of that, my dad sent me a text, and he just sends me a picture of shrimp ceviche.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
I know. I'm like, why are you sending me this picture right now? You're making me hungry. Okay. Speaking of government affairs, government UFO report is that the government UFO report, they're finally announcing that they have things, they have been keeping track of UFOs, and it is a real report. It's a product of years of military infighting over whether or not to take the science seriously. So, of course, the government has been tracking UFOs for God knows however, because why not? Why wouldn't they be if they saw something in the sky and they didn't know what the fuck it was, they would try to find out. They don't know if it's aliens or not. We don't know if it's aliens or not. But members of the House Intelligence Committee will receive a classified briefing on Wednesday morning on one of the most controversial targets circling Washington today: UFOs. In the briefing, it was confirmed by CNN by two sources familiar with the committee's plans. Comes just weeks before the U.S. Intelligence Committee is scheduled to deliver an unclassified report on the matter for Congress. According to one committee source, Wednesday's briefings will be conducted by the Navy and by the FBI. The fact that Congress is receiving briefings and the Intelligence Committee is producing reports on what the Pentagon has labeled UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, is itself extraordinary. After years of Washington infighting, including bureaucratic battles within the Pentagon and pressure from certain members of Congress, the U.S. government has finally appeared to be taking seriously what has for so long been considered a fringe issue. Even as sightings of unexplainable objects rise into the hundreds, Pentagon officials wrestled with how much time and resources they devote to investigate them. Interviews with half dozen officials, as well as documents reviewed by CNN, depict a U.S. military and intelligence committee that struggled over how to remove the issue from the world of science fiction and consider it actual national security implications. Its actual national security implications. Even now, multiple sources told CNN the government almost certainly wouldn't have moved to produce the report without public pressure from key lawmakers, as both Republicans and Democrats have been taking an interest in the matter. While former senior defense officials with knowledge of the most recent iterations of the department's investigation say that the Pentagon took it seriously, some pilots and former officials tasked with investigating the matter say senior Pentagon leaders downplayed or ignored the threat for many years. Everyone who paid enough attention to it to understand they need to take it seriously, said former Deputy Defense Secretary David Norquist, who set up a task force in 2020 to investigate UAPs. But once you go beyond that circle, you get people who don't want to be assumed to have tinfoil hats. For most serious people inside the Pentagon studying this strange incident, the former official said investigations is not about proving whether or not aliens are investigating Earth and buzzing Navy pilots. Rather, it's about trying to understand what is behind these otherwise unexplainable encounters in U.S. airspace. In particular, some officials are concerned that they might have some kind of next-gen technology deployed by China or Russia. I mean, it could always just be the Chinese. I will never forget the Chinese. If these objects have a flag.
I don't know. I'm betting it's the Australians.
I bet it's the Australians. It's odd over there. If these objects have a flag of Russia on the side, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Norquist said, every one of those would be reported. Everyone would be on top of it. The report, which is due in Congress in late June, isn't likely to resolve the debate, nor is it expected to provide any kind of juicy details ufologists have been hoping for, like confirming that strange sightings by American Navy pilots were alien spacecrafts. One administration official noted that many of the incidents in the Pentagon's database of encounters were likely turned out to have multiple causes. A strange weather anomaly combined with weather balloon sightings on the horizon, for example, but some could eventually turn out to be adversaries operating in U.S. airspace, that person said. For that reason alone, officials are likely to be reluctant to offer too many details on what they've seen in the upcoming report. If any of these incidents are Russian or China or any other nation, like the Australians, the U.S. won't want to show what they know for counterintelligence reasons. Proof that the U.S. government has made contact with extraterrestrial life, what ufologists call disclosure, will have to wait for another day.
So they're basically like, oh no, we definitely don't know what these are. unidentified objects are wink, wink, nudge,
Nudge,
nudge.
nudge, tug, tug. So they're not gonna flat out say, yeah, it's aliens, guys. But they're finally acknowledging, like, yeah, we're trying to keep track of this weird shit we keep seeing. Um, like images from video produced at Department of Defense show unexplained objects as it soars high along the clouds. Uh, yeah, just they're gonna try to release a report later this month. So let's hopefully it might have some juicy details. Watch the reporter. Just turns out he is an alien. He takes off his human head, and he's just a lizard man. That would be nuts.
What if we all become lizard men? What if we all are lizard men?
Okay, so I think the last thing on reopening and like politics and stuff. Let's talk about California celebrated opening up with dancing and baseball bobbleheads. Seeing California lifted most COVID-19 restrictions on Tuesday as a part of grand reopening, in which the state ended the capacity limits, physical distancing, and at least for those vaccinated, mask requirements. The new health order went into effect that allows vaccinated people to go without a face covering for most situations, putting the state in line with guidance of the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Masks are required in public transportation, hospitals, and jails, as well as at schools and child care centers, pending updated guidelines from the CDC. California's Occupational and Safety Health Standards Board initially said masks would still be required unless everyone in the same room has been vaccinated. However, last week the board reversed itself and said fully vaccinated workers no need to wear masks or physically distance, regardless of other vaccination status. Governor Newsom indicated that he will sign an executive order later this week in the workplace, mask up usage to clear up any ambiguity. And since it's Pride Month, they have to include just a picture of a gay club.
Of course.
The little rainbows in the
The
background.
homosexuals.
At least I can see the two little flags in the back. Patrons cheer during the official state reopening at Abbey hosts countdown to reopening party. They had a countdown to reopening party. What? Public health measures will remain only for
I
the
hope
mega
that party
events.
will met guidelines before the restrictions were up, or else I would be fighting all of those people that were there.
Portal? A little, no, and not Portal, a podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. King Hobo. It says public health measures will remain only for mega events with 5,000 or more people indoors or 10,000 people outdoors, with vaccine verification required or at least recommended according to the revised health order. So they might ask for vaccine proof. California will also stop limiting capacity and forcing physical distancing at all venues, and then the color-coded tier system for each county will be retired. It's not mission accomplished. Some executive orders remain in place, including those that allow pharmacy technicians to administer vaccine doses. Some provisions will be slowly retired, with about 90% of the governor's pandemic-related executive orders being lifted by September. Newsom's office estimated to keep these new guidelines in place till at least October. So I think that's almost everything on the news. We covered everything. Sports update. Let's go to the Logan Paul fight. That shit was a shit show. We had to talk about it. It was last week. Did you watch any of the highlights?
Not really.
They're not worth watching.
I just can't stand to watch another Mayweather fight. I just can't do it.
Another Mayweather fight? Dude, Mayweather fights aren't that bad. I don't know what you're talking about. They're actually pretty good.
They're pretty boring.
It depends on the opponent. Remember Pacquiao? The Pacquiao fight was good.
That was pretty boring.
There's no pleasing you.
What?
Crepe and a pancake? It's a smoking a crepe, a bong and a pancake. There's no police in you. Yeah, but the Mayweather versus Logan Paul fight was stupid. Um, because there was an exhibition, of course. There's no official winner. They weren't really keeping track of the points that much. They were keeping track of points, but they weren't. It wasn't a reason to. Um, they didn't count a winner, and he didn't knock him out. He was just he was trying not to knock him out, but he kind of almost did knock him out because there's like a whole little point where you kind of see him give him one good.
Oh, I saw that part.
Yeah, he gets him one good jab in the. Here, let's. Is it in the face or is it in the gut? Where did he hit him? Let's see.
I think it was in the back of the head.
Yeah, I have the video right here. Fucking
or on the side.
Oh yeah, he hit him in the back of the head and he just started falling. No, that's not. It's this one right here.
Like, yeah, it was on the side.
Yeah, side. He did KO him. He was looking at him. He's like falling. So he did KO Paul because they agreed to make it so they can both win. The Floyd did knock him out. Look at him. He's like he held him up. He held him up. So Floyd knocked him out and he held him up, but because there was a charity stream, they decided to. You know what? It's okay. I'll keep you up, bro. You just act fine. Just act fine. Come on. Está bien. It's okay. Come on. And it was just
no llores, güey. No llores.
And then you just see at the end of the fight, Mayweather went like a nice leisurely stroll through the park. He did some jogging. He was working his cardio, just having some fun. And then Logan Paul just like fucking gassed and like black eye and everything. It looks hilarious. Look at his face.
It was like that Loki episode.
Like that. Speaking of Loki, we're all gonna be talking about Loki later. It's just like that Loki episode. Okay, so maybe actually, I think Loki's up next. Yeah, Loki's up next. Let's just move on right into Loki. So we have to keep track of the new shows. We're gonna be tracking of new shows, and we'll do 2 shows for now that we want to do. We're gonna do Loki. We're gonna do all the episodes. We'll do week by week. We'll just review them, and we are gonna take a trip down to Dark Side of the Ring. Dark Side of the Ring was a really intense series from Vice, and it tells some real cool, crazy stuff that happened inside the professional wrestling business. I spoke about it last time, and so did Mavs. We're both fans of the professional wrestling business. It's not the same as it used to be, but like some of the old stuff is always real fun to watch.
The magic that was behind it from growing up is gone.
The storytelling they used to be able to do, the storytelling is all gone. There used to be a point to see. Why would you want to see someone beat the shit out of someone else? Because
it used to be more like the South Park episode with the fucking convoluted storyline that made it look like soap opera for men.
It's a you remember.
I remember.
You remember. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, custody of Dominic. That's a classic.
My non-religious ass prays every night that storyline makes it somehow
back into the game.
Dominic now.
Dominic's gonna betray Rey later. He's Dominic Guerrero. Oh, that'd be ridiculous.
And then he can switch back to Dominic Mysterio and get the mask.
Yeah. Oh, hey! Someone can build the fucking story here. It's like someone can actually fucking build a story here. What happened to everybody? So, but let's go back. Let's go back to where we were going to start off with Loki. Let's go. Let's review Loki first. We'll go Dark Side of the Ring here after Loki.
Okay, before we start, one question that I had that
Mm-hmm.
came up after watching the episode while I was driving home,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
high as fuck. Um, if that's the Loki that survived because of the mess up of the Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
then who's the other Loki?
That's what they want you to wonder. Who is it? Who is it? Where is it? How is
Okay,
it?
okay. Let's talk to the episode when we get to it at the end. I'll talk about my theory that I have of who it might be.
Okay, so the episode starts off at of course opening. We have the Avengers setup where at Endgame you see Hulk come in, smash into the rest of the Avengers, and he accidentally knocks the Tesseract over. Because Tesseract was knocked over, Loki is able to get his hands on it, and then he makes the getaway. I'm pretty sure the other Avengers noticed, but because of the whole Endgame situation that was going on, they had to resolve that first. And I think Steve Rogers
Mhm.
probably just ended up forgetting about it, knowing him, because a lot of shit happened there. But it also maybe explains itself in right after it, because as soon as Loki escapes, we see him fall out of the sky. Description is the the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, right? Yeah, the Gobi Desert in
Yes.
Mongolia. You see him fall out of the sky, and he gets right up. You're like, oh motherfucker! But then he sees some people. As soon as he sees some people, he gets right back up and he jumps on top of a rock. Because of course he has to be the highest person, the tallest being in the realm. Like, yes, bow before me, beings. And then he sounds
Hear you, hear you.
hey, before he even says the hear you, you see the portal pop up on the side, just like this. The screen shifts over there, and you see people coming out this weird portal just out of nothing. And these guys in like these black and white suits. We come to know these are the TVA, but we don't know that at the time. They just pop out of nowhere, and they
And
start.
they get ready to fuck shit up.
And they proceed to fuck shit up. You want to describe this next part, actually?
How can we describe it?
It's really great. Just this. It just starts from like wherever they just walk out. It's kind of narrated. You just didn't narrate it. Doesn't. That's what I was doing.
So they proceed to walk out of the portal doors, and then they just start inspecting the area. They find Loki's mouth, the thing that they used Thor to cover his mouth in the original Avengers movie. And they're like, oh, yep, this is the anomaly. We found him.
Oh
And
yeah.
don't they start to just they're like talking between each other? It's like, you better not mess with me. It's like blah 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 blah
Yeah, yeah.
blah.
Loki's like you like. Loki's like, now step aside. Like, you better
And
not
he
get in my way.
proceeds to continue to mouth off to this wonderful lady that proceeds to what's that weapon called?
I don't think I had a
I
name,
don't know.
but it slowed him down. So he's like, now step aside. He tries to get the Tesseract, right? And right as he steps forward, she hits him with, I guess, the time baton. Let's call it the time baton. Yeah, hits him with a time baton, and he just hit. She like gets him with the good old police smack in the face, boom, and you see his like face start slow mo. Ooh, and you see his like the body is starting to go back and forth from the reaction. We think this is like a slow mo dramatic effect, like for like visual effect. Of course, we think it is that, but then we see
But
the
behold, it is not.
then
His
this.
there his literally like his individual time is just slowed down, and apparently he can feel all the pain in real time.
Yeah, the nice lady comes up in real time. Excuse me. The nice lady comes up to him in real time, puts the collar on him, and says, "Yeah, you're feeling all this pain. Your time is now reduced to 1/16 your normal time, but you're still feeling all the pain in real time." And we just see him just like slowly fall to the ground. Whoa, whoa, when they and his fucking finally falls. And then they proceed him to haul him away because they look at the thing. They have some little scanner, I guess, a scanner doodad in their hand. And they have dramatic music going on. And it's like, yep, the timeline's about to get critical, so they have to put a reset charge and reset the timeline there and bring it back. And we don't know if that's what the reset charge was. That's explain a little bit later. But he put something in the ground. It's orange, and then they push it. It turns purple, and everything starts like gets effect, and then it pans out. And then you see Loki and everybody else travel to a nice, clean office.
Yeah, the thing that they laid down was the reset thing, right? So it resets the timeline.
Resets it back to the timeline. So he hits. They get to the TVA, right? The next part, they get to the TVA, and he's like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" And they, the next bits were great. So he tries to run away, and then he gets rewound back to her. Apparently this time thing controls his time because he tried to run away a couple times, and the nice lady just hit something on this little controller, and he just is instantly
snaps him back to the original place.
Yep, right next to her. Like there's no point in running. And then like he they give the Tesseract to some kid and to like some office guy, like put this in for like evidence. Like, what is it? And it's a Tesseract. And then they got like, it sounds lame. As they push Loki into a room. And they push Loki into this room. And then inside the room, a little robot with a weird TV.
A little happy robot.
Look, a little happy weird robot. He looks happy. And then he was mad, and he said she barely strips Loki naked, like most people want to see. And then they drop him into some sweat jumpers.
Best scene of the entire show.
Like they drop him into what is it?
Into
his jumper, the prison jumper,
prison outfit.
Yeah, the prison outfit. He just just falls into it.
Proceeds to have to take a ticket.
No, not yet. No, you're skipping like the two little bits. Like as soon as he drops into the prison jumper, the guy was like, "Sign this." Like, what's this? Sign this, certifying that everything this is everything you ever said. And he responds with, "What?" And then the thing proceeds to print out a piece of paper, and he slaps it on and says, "Also this." And the paper just says, "What?" And like, "Oh, this is absurd." And then it proceeds another piece of paper, and he slaps it on there. It's like, "Also this," and it says, "This is absurd." And he just signs it. Says, "Screw it," and then drop him again into the scanner. And the scanner guy is great because the scanner guy has to ask him, "Please acknowledge that you are and always have been a human being, having a living being and contain what most religions refer to as a soul, and you are not like a robot." They made him do a CAPTCHA. They made him do a CAPTCHA check, and then
an IRL CAPTCHA check.
And Loki proceeds to have an existential crisis and like, wait, do most people not know that there are robots? Like, what if I'm a robot? Would I know if I'm a robot? Well, what happens if I'm a robot? Like, the machine will destroy you if you are. Like, what? They just walk through. It's fine. And he walks through and it just scans him. And he's fine. Of course, he's not a robot. He just walks through and it prints out a little thing and looks like, what's that? And like, it's your temporal aura. And like, what's that? Like, go on. And he just shooes him off. And then he gets the ticket. And then when he gets a ticket, he sees the little infographic from Miss Minutes. Like,
oh yeah, the fucking little
Southern Belle, Miss Minutes. They made her Southern too, like, for all time. And then she explained the sacred timeline and how everybody, how those three space lizards are like in charge of maintaining the sacred timeline from collapsing into another multiverse. for another because there was a multiverse war that almost destroyed everything, and yada yada yada. And it's because of people like Loki, who apparently him grabbing the Tesseract and trying to run away was causing a so-called nexus point in the timeline that can make that timeline verge off into another timeline that's not supposed to be there. The sacred the sacred timeline, motherfuckers. Thanks, motherfucker.
Jesus Christ.
The TVA was set up to make sure people don't fuck up the timeline. They catch them and you bring them back. Loki's one of them. And as soon as they do that, it goes back, it shoots back to the screen, and you see the guy in front of Loki arguing with the prison guard because he doesn't have his ticket. Like, what do you mean I don't have my ticket? And they start arguing back and forth, and the prison guard just doesn't take his shit, and then suddenly just erases him. Like with his time stick, he just sticks him with the time stick and it just erases him out of existence in a spectacular fashion. And Loki starts to freak the fuck out. He starts looking for his fucking ticket.
Digging through all his pockets for his fucking ticket.
Then he pulls that ticket. He pulls it out very enthusiastically, just very top, like, huzzah! I have it. Best scene. Great, good stuff. Good stuff. They get to the thing. Loki has to stand trial next scene. It looks like he has to. He is forced with crimes against the timeline. Loki says it's not his fault. He tries to blame it on the Avengers. Of course, it was like he can smell the cologne of two Tony Starks. He says, but it wasn't. Apparently, the Avengers were supposed to do that. Loki is the variant. Loki is the problem, and he's sentenced to erasure. He says. He's like, no. But Owen, we have Owen Hart. No, not Owen Hart. Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson. Oh, but I think we skipped a scene, didn't we?
Which one?
Before the trial, it was Owen Wilson's introductory scene where he was in the timeline hunting. Hunting the killer. He finds the kid. The kid gives him a piece of gum, and the devil's and it says that like the gum is like the devil's in the details on it, some shit like that. And she points to the devil, and like on like the church scene there's a giant devil. Like, oh wow! And they have to leave and reset the timeline. So I remember that, but I guess that's how they introduce Owen Wilson. But Owen Wilson interrupts in the Loki trial. Say, no, I think I have an idea what he's capable of, because that's what Loki's like. You have no idea what I'm capable of, because he's trying to drag him away. Like, I think I have an idea what he's capable of. And he talks to the judge like, hey, I need you. Can you help me with this? Just give me 5 minutes. It's I'm always looking up to you. It's really fitting. Just 5 minutes. Come on. And he takes Loki away, and he starts to talk to Loki. Asks him, why are you like hurting people? Who are you? Like, and he starts interrogating him back and forth, trying to figure out. I don't know what he wants from Loki. I guess at this point we don't know. But he gets back and forth. That whole scene in that room is actually pretty tense, because he starts showing him like, oh, I have some favorite bits, like, oh, we know your past, and they start going back, and I think this is my favorite scene of the whole first episode. This is my favorite. Whenever he was like, this is my favorite, and they go back, and it's suddenly on a plane. For those that have seen the episode already, it's a DB Cooper scene, but they're on a plane, and you see Loki in like a nice suit with glasses and everything. And like he starts flirting with the flight attendant, and he gives her a thing. She thinks it's like his number or something. He says, "Call me." Like, you might want to read that. I have a bomb. He says to the flight attendant, and then they cut to the scene where they're on the ground with cops around the plane, which is where they're getting ransom money. And then they cut back to the next scene where they're flying again, and Loki has the ransom money in a bag, and he looks at the flight attendant. And it says, hopefully see you again. And he closes down the thing. He puts on his thing. And the music's great. Yeah, and then he just proceeds
Mission
to jump.
Impossible.
Yeah, and then he proceeds to jump out the plane. And before he jumped out the plane, we did hear him say, brother Hamdo, be ready. And then right as he jumped out the plane, you see him fly out. And then the Bifrost comes out and smacks him away. and then you see some of the money fly off in the sky and fly down to the floor, and it was great. And like, you're DB Cooper, like, and fucking Loki's first response is like, I was young and I lost a bet to my brother. So whatever the bet was, apparently it had involved Loki not do the impossible or something. It was great. That scene was great, and it's all build up to trying to Owen Wilson trying to figure out who Loki is, and you see their banter back and forth, and then Loki tries to get bad, and as soon as he gets up, he gets reversed back. Like I wasn't getting up to. I wasn't trying to get away. I was just trying to get up. It was an expression like, fine, okay, and get up. Like, I don't want to. No, all right, sit there. Like, I do what I want, and you're like, okay. And you just see Loki's reaction, just so defeated, right?
It's like he doesn't respond the way that Loki wants him to respond. And every time it happens, Loki just dies a little inside every time.
Right, he just dies a little bit.
Every time, his little flicker of light just dies out.
Good things, good things. I think right there is where.
They get interrupted by the lady.
No. They showed right before that. They were showing them his mother's death, and he got all mad, and he threw the chair, and then he got back to time, and then he fell back to the floor. And like, that's where he got. That's where Owen Wilson came back to help him up. And the little scamper thing, right as he got up, he got the time twister controller. And then the dinner lady interrupted, and Wilson had to leave. And that's where he has the little controller. And he was able to get out because suddenly they realized, that mischievous scamp. And then they start going back down. It's an emergency. They're trying to find him.
Oh no.
Oh yes, they're all over the place.
He finds the office dude.
Yeah, he finds the office dude. So he runs away. He's trying to run away to the TVA, and he runs into the office dude.
The one that took to this test rack to store it.
And like, hey, what's your name? Casey. Like, Casey, show me where the test rack is. I'll cut you like a fish. Like, and he responds like, "What's a fish?" Like, what do you mean? I've lived out here this office my whole life. What does it matter? Like, I want to know what I'm going to be gutted like compared to if I'm going to die. Death, like painful, vicious death. And like, all right, fine. He's like, he wanted a tesseract. Like, it's over here, and like he pulls him over, and he pulls out the drawer. Opens the lid and pulls out the tesseract. Here it is. and then Loki looks at the tesseract, but then he looks down at the drawer, and you just see like a shit ton of Infinity Stones. So many Infinity Stones, and the best detail was that they had the most time stones. The stone that was the most was the time stone. TVA time.
Of course.
So whatever. The thing they didn't want the time stone to do, they got back there. So they just had a collection of like Infinity Stones, and then Loki starts having this like existential realization. Like he has a tesseract in his hand, and looks at like this little monitor that's floating up on the TV. Like, is this the most powerful power? Is this the most powerful energy in it? What is this the most powerful thing in the universe? Like, I think so. And then you see the nice lady, the guard, coming from behind, and he tried to zap Loki. Loki uses the time spinner to spin back to the room he was in to get away, and then like she zaps the
card full of
the desk full of Infinity Stones, and then Casey gets all mad, like, you almost hit me, man. That would have been so messed up, man. And then she just like storms off, all mad. And I think he's already back in the room, right? Yeah. So she goes back into the room where he is, and they start going back and forth. Somehow, I think Loki was able to get the upper hand and gets the thingy, the time spinner collar on her. And then he starts going back and forth, and he's like, "Stop it!" Stop it! Stop it!
Stop.
It's a really cool visual effect because it was really trippy, and you look at it,
It really was.
but it was she spun back to like the beginning where he was at the TVA office, so she didn't go
It's kind of
anywhere.
weird that that's like the way that they push the boundaries of what time is.
Yeah, it is. The time moves
I just
differently.
find weird.
Yeah, time moves differently in
Yeah.
TVA. It's great. So he like sends it back, and then he starts having this existential crisis there in the
Well,
lower thing room because the
he watches
Tesseract.
his entire life.
Yeah, he watches his entire life. After that, he starts watching
He
his entire life.
watches his death
He
at the
watches.
hands of Thanos.
Yeah, he watches his death. He watches his him coming back with his brother. He watches he watches Dark World. He watches he watches the movies.
He just sits there watching the entire movie.
He sits there watches all of Ragnarok. And then at the end of
Jesus
Infinity
Christ.
War, he sees his death, and he's like, "Oh!" And then he starts crying, and he starts laughing, and then Owen Wilson shows up, and he's just sitting there inside the office, and he's like holding the Tesseract, and he finally realizes how powerful the TVA is, how formidable this, because even an Infinity Stone is useless here.
Yeah.
And so, this is where at the very last scene, I think, where Owen Wilson it tells him, "Well, we can't send you back because you're a villain. You know that. That's why you're here. But maybe we can make you do something better. Uh, we need your help catching somebody." And it's like, why do you need my help? Why do you need the help of Loki, the god of mischief? Well, because the person we're trying to hunt is Loki, the god of mischief. You. And he says something like that. He's like, and what? And then they cut away to a whole other scene, which was pretty cool, by the way. You see a couple of time agents show up, and I think it was like late 1800s America. I think it was somewhere in
Somewhere around
America,
there.
and it was late 1800s. They see a piece of technology in the ground, like it looks like a spear, some kind of maybe axe. I don't know. Somebody scanned it and said, "Yep, this is early third millennial. This shouldn't be here." And that date's actually kind of important if you know about your Marvel lore. We'll put that. I'll put a footnote of that. And then when the guys like touch the ground, they're like, "Yes, oil. Some dickhead must have got a time machine, came back and must have struck gold." They just prune everything out and let's go. Like, don't you want to investigate? Like, nah, not worth the paperwork. Just put a reset charge and let's get out of here. So he wants to reset the charge and just reset the universe to get out of there. But then they say, "Hey, look, something's out there." And right when they say that, they see like a hooded figure with a lantern, and then the person drops the lantern, and then the whole oil field lights up, and then the Minutemen. They're called Minutemen. They said it earlier in the episode, but they're called the Minutemen. All die, and this is Loki. Most likely, the rogue Loki collects the charge. So the rogue Loki's collecting reset charges.
Oh wow!
Wah, wah. Disturb. Wah. Okay, so Loki was a pretty fun episode. The next episode actually debuts in 3.5 hours.
Oh sweet!
So if you just want to stay up and watch it, you can. But
I probably am. Probably am.
I might do that too. But let's go to the Dark Side of the Ring next off. Let's go to our first round of the Dark Side of the Ring. We're going to be talking about these at least one episode per week. We watched. It was In the Shadow of Grizzly Smith, right?
Yeah, Shadow of Grizzly Smith.
That was one of the newest ones. The last one of this season, because they're going to do a part 2 of this season in like a few months. So we have all the time right now to catch up on the ones from this season. So in the
Oh,
shadow,
nice.
so in the shadow, Grizzly Smith, this uh, Dark Side of the Ring, like we were saying, deals with the story behind pro wrestling and some of the characters in it, some of the actual people that were lived out uh, traveling around the world and trying to showcase, present a fixed fight. So in this story,
And then a lot of the stories are from wrestlers from the old, like
yeah, these are old wrestlers too. These are
wrestling from the
modern.
old days, where there weren't really much regulations in wrestling or entertainment in those times.
They're still trying to.
Like, yeah.
They're still trying to make it more real. Kayfabe, they try to keep up kayfabe a lot more. So it wasn't known to everybody, to many people, that it was a fixed fight. You actually thought these people were actually fighting, and they were trying to kill each other, or in most cases, hurt each other. In some cases, almost kill each other. Um, this story, we talk about Grizzly Smith, or in the shadow of Grizzly Smith. Grizzly Smith was a famous wrestler dating back to the early 60s. He was in a
And
lot
then
of
just
entertainment shows.
a warning from this point forward, it's going to be talking about a lot of graphic stuff and content that may be triggering to some people.
Oh yeah, this subject is from
Episode is very dark.
this subject this subject is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Anyways, okay, now
Yes.
now we put a
You may
discretion.
continue.
Now we put a discretion. Um, this is the story
I
of
mean,
Grizzly
the
Smith.
episode itself had it as well in the very
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah. We go through the episode. It starts. It introduces the people who are going to be in it. In this story, with Grizzly Smith, is an old wrestler from the '60s, but he turns out to be the father of like three other well-known wrestlers. And funny enough,
Hmm.
no one actually knows that all three are related. Most people don't know they're all three related. This is
I
Rock.
didn't know.
Rockin' Robin, one of the first female champions for the WWF. Sam Houston, considered one of the best workers for between the '70s and the '80s uh, most territories actually, and Jake the Snake Roberts, one of if not one of the best, if not the best promos of all time. That motherfucker could talk. That guy had some great stories that he was part of, and all because he knew how to work people. And it's kind of all because of their dad. They hated their dad, and we're about to talk about why. So it introduces the family members. Grizzly Smith had 5 kids, and because
One was given up for adoption. If I'm
yeah,
not
one was
mistaken.
given up. A couple of them. Yeah, one was given up for adoption. There. It turns out that he was very manipulative. Gray Smith was very manipulative. This show was crazy because they start talking about how he would pit the kids against another because to work people in wrestling you had to make them believe that you were actually fighting. The kids, whenever they were all kids, actually believed that wrestling was real, that these people that were fighting his dad were trying to kill him and trying to come up to the house. He had them all like feeling like they were constantly being chased. It was ridiculous when you start looking at like their young days. It just passes. This one's a great episode. It just is story wise though, but like content wise, it's some really heavy stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Because it introduces all three wrestlers throughout the years. Um, Rockin' Robin got trained by yeah, Rockin' Robin was trained by what was his name? I don't know who trained her, but they trained her like one of the boys, and Vince McMahon was really really
Oh,
liked
yeah.
her. Really like he really enjoyed seeing her wrestle. So from then on, like she got like a schedule after their first dark match, and like she was like soon one of the world champions like right away.
That's like one of the parts that I do remember is like where they complimented her because back in the day when they told you that you could really throw a hard punch.
Now you could throw, you
That
could
was
punch like a boy.
a really good call.
Yeah, if they
Yeah,
said you punch like a boy, then it was a really it was a compliment back then. And she was doing
yeah.
bulldogs and dropping people and like doing really cool looking stuff actually. Like some
But
of
yeah,
these.
right after that, Vince, like you said, they sent her the schedule and plane tickets to her next location. Started, I guess, working for the WWF at that time.
Yeah, like right away. Like she's right after she got that, she started working at WWF. I think she was like
Oh,
in there for.
that's crazy. Because you like, there's no contract, nothing. You just receive it by mail and just take off. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I mean, back then you could.
Jeez.
It wasn't as bad. That was early '80s, and then they jump over to Jake the Snake. He started taking off around like uh, 82, 83, 84, and
Hmm.
he's already in WWF by 86. Um, he kind of he was already in the spotlight. He loved being in the wrestling business. The dude loves to talk. Like he wasn't really a like a good amateur wrestler. He wasn't like athletic, but he knew like the mental aspect of pro wrestling. This is
He
a this is
basically he
this
could work. He work the crowd.
Yeah, he can really work. He knew how to like get everybody into the match, how to get everybody like looking forward to him either winning or losing. Because most times he was a heel, they want to see him lose. They want to see him lose. To make the crowd want to see you lose, you have to make them really turn on you. So he was really good at that. Jim Cornette's in this episode. He talks a lot about how good some of these promos were, and then they even have one of Jake's promos here, and you hear it. Like his voice really changed. Oh, so I don't know if anybody else keeps up with this, but Jake the Snake Roberts is now in AEW, and he sounds nothing like this, like he does right now in his Vice. He sounds nothing like him. It's ridiculous. His voice has changed so much. It's the cocaine and the
But what is
smoking.
he doing in
And it's
AEW right
all
now? Is it just
he's Lance Archer's manager.
uh
Yeah, it's weird.
nice? Good for him.
No, but they're not doing anything. He sometimes just sits in commentary. But his
So he's still a job. He's still like being out there.
true, true. But Jake the
I
Snake,
always like the idea of managers, especially when they're in the WWE games. So just a little side comment.
true, true. Well, back then they were, but now they don't do anything. Managers, they don't. No manager does anything in any wrestling
The only one that
companies.
does is Paul Heyman, and like nobody can compete with Paul Heyman.
But Paul Heyman has gold in it, every single time. He's really good with Roman Reigns right now. But apparently Jake is named Aurelian Smith Jr. Like he's a junior of his dad, Grizzly Adams, and that's why he's Jake the Snake Roberts because he didn't want to be a junior of his father at all. He hated his father apparently. He got into wrestling because he hated his father. Yeah, that's his story now, at least.
That was fucking rough to watch.
Yeah,
Where
that
he would always tell him how terrible he did every night, and like what pushed him to drive what drove him to continue was like looking for that approval from his father.
But the funny thing is, um, I listened to the Jim Cornette podcast, and according to them, this is Jake the Snake's story as of recent, and this is of course Jake the Snake Roberts, one of the dirtiest players in the main event game. So also a wild drug addict. His story changes a lot over the years, and it's been documented. So anything that Jake the Snake Roberts says, we can take with a grain of salt. But what everybody else says, we should most likely believe. Like there's also the son that didn't wrestle. He's also on here too.
What was that one?
Um, don't remember his name, but it's, uh, let's see. Richard. He even changed his name to Richard Neighbors. He doesn't even want to be a Smith. No one wants to be a Smith. They all hate his dad because as it turns out, Sam Houston was the last one that's a wrestler. He was a really good work. He was a really good worker. The territories. A lot of people actually knew Sam Houston. But those are the three that were wrestlers. Oh, and they Okay, so they just go through most of the backstory from Jake and Rock and Robin and Sam, and then at the very end of the Jake stuff, they reveal the harsh things, which is that, for example, Jake, the snake's mother, was 13 whenever he was born, because Grizzly Smith was a pedophile. And Grizzly Smith was always apparently kind of having little girls around him, and it was weird. And it talks about it here that some people saw it, but no one ever like knew it. There was always jokes, but no one ever was able to confirm it until their kids spoke up. Because Rock and Robin, she was she was molested by her dad, and Jake says that he was molested by his stepmother.
Stepmom.
Apparently, the stepmom that he had married was also a pedophile, and they had some weird stories right here and here. But yeah, he had Jake as a with a 13-year-old. He married her, and then I think they divorced after he was on the road wrestling a lot. They also had he also had another daughter, Jolynn. She's older than Robin, and then suddenly she disappeared. She was kidnapped.
Oh yeah, the one that was kidnapped
and never found. And most everybody believes that he might have had a part in it, because there was a time they mentioned this in the episode. There was a time whenever they were trying to get the cold case people working on it, and he was against it. And that was like a tall tale signal. Like, why would you be against trying to find out what happened to your daughter? It was this story is nuts. It's Grizzly was a pedophile, and apparently was able to talk people into letting them take their daughters with him along the road,
oh god,
because he was a respected wrestler. He was able to say that he was mentoring these young people, and I guess he was, and they would let like these girls come along with him on the road, like, because when you're driving from town to town, you should drive with a few people with you. It's like you and a couple other co-workers and some other stuff. They would suddenly make a detour. There would be always stories that they would suddenly make a detour to somebody's house, and then suddenly he had this little 10 or 11-year-old girl with him, and he said they were going to be driving with him for a few days, and it was just weird, and everybody mentioned it was always weird, but no one ever could confirm it until mostly Robin and some other people spoke up. His daughter finally spoke up. And the way he conditioned his daughter when it happened is fucked up. Like, she talks about it, how like for a month before like the first time, like I think she was 8. She said she was 8. He completely ignored her. Completely ignored. Like would just walk by her and not even acknowledge her existence for like a whole month. And then on the day, uh, on one day he said like, "Oh, you know how Daddy loves you, right?" And that's whenever that everything happens, and that's fucked up. That is some psychological fucking trauma, torture right there. Do that to a small child. Jesus Christ. And then of course they come out confused and they don't know what just happened. Like why did it just happen? Like, I mean, am I being punished? What is going on? And it just that really must have fucked up Robin in so many ways. And she talks about how later she had to do her way around it was alcohol, just having to drink her problems away. But luckily Robin was one of the ones that was the most successful of all the kids. She's like a real estate agent now, a successful real estate agent.
She did look the most successful in the whole video.
Yeah, like she has she's the most successful of all of them. I looked up and she has a business. She has a nice house. Jake was very successful in the wrestling business, but he spent most of the money on drugs. There's a whole
Okay.
cocaine mostly. There's a whole bit where he's like talking about how remember the most important thing in his life was cocaine.
It was cocaine. It
Not
was
his
important
wife,
to not his mama,
not his mom,
not kids,
not his
no,
kids,
not a,
not himself.
nothing.
Cocaine.
Yeah, it was cocaine.
Yeah, man. And then, yeah, the Joe Lynn part is crazy. They talk about how she disappeared that one night, and they just never could find her.
And also the fact that what was the name of the thing that she wanted to call, was it cold case or something?
Yes, and also like psychics and stuff.
Yeah,
They get, but they never found
Grizzly
the body.
wouldn't let her.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They would not let her. They would not let them.
They just accepted that probably dead, and because after a certain amount of time, after somebody is declared either kidnapped or lost, I think that the parents have the option to just like declare that it did, just accept it as their death.
The thing is that in at the time, without like a body or someone to say that they saw her kill her, there wasn't any way to put any convictions on anybody. They
That too.
if someone got caught with aggravated killing and got set 30 years, they sentenced them to 7, but they couldn't actually prove that they killed them. So they never found a body. They got no evidence. There was a reason to get rid of her. There's some reason. Something was going on because they even talk about it right before the whole scenario. Is that Jolene apparently came over to uh, Robin's house a few weeks before she disappeared, just to hang out, and then she disappeared after that, and they never knew what happened. And they just all suspect that their dad was the one that killed her. And
More than
and
likely.
that's where Jake the Snake Roberts gets most of his personality. His crazy way of working people actually comes from the way their dad treated them, and that's really fucked up when you think about it.
Yeah. Like you base his whole personality around that for his character.
And let's see, they go through most of the other guys. They all use wrestling to try to work through the pain. Richard's the only one who doesn't get into the business, and I think the other daughter didn't get into the business. But one
Oh, and
thing,
then The fact that that one of the brothers that would always get arrested, and the fact that Grizzly knew people in Texas and was well known with the community, like
Oh,
his son
that
would get away with it.
just let him get him out. Yeah, he spent like a day or two in jail, and then just get him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a reason why he never spent long. Sam Houston, Sam had so many DUI offenses, but
The most DUI offenses in Texas.
wow, but for Sam consequences, yeah, Sam was drinking so much at the time because of what because of Sam Houston had the most had an all-state record for state yeah had an all-state record for most DUI offenses. Jesus, the reason why he was not being in jail for that long was because Grizzly Smith knew so many people in the was in the like the government, and he was such a big important name that he was able to just pull some strings. That's when Ryan was able to get him out after maybe like a day or two in jail. Like he would get in and he would just get him right out, and that's crazy. And that's how manipulative Grizzly Smith was. He was able to manipulate parents, governments, his kids. This man was like, I don't know how to describe it. Some kind of like wizard with a tongue or something. That sounds weird with saying it like that. Never mind. I retract that statement.
Don't all wizards have tongues?
Tongues. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
So a regular wizard.
he had a gift of gab. He was able to talk, convince people of most anything, and that's kind of scary because it looks like he always was using this shit for his own personal gain, especially
That's
considering he's a
that's like
pedophile.
most of the famous serial killers. Like
Yeah.
who was the ones that were recently made like a Netflix series or show about? I forgot, but it's like like there are all those like serial killers are like charming and whatnot
Hmm.
until they find out that they're serial killers and they have like a terrible background and whatnot.
And the whole time, while like Sam's having the most DUIs in Texas, Jake is just having like the Keith Richards
It's
experience
okay.
of pro wrestling. Like above sex, above money, above children, cocaine was the main thing for about 20 years. Above wives, above mama, uh, above everything. That's just quotes. Cocaine had to be number one. That's Jake the Snake's Robin, and that's really messed up. And because you do drugs, you get a good time. It changes, and you get kind of freaky. What? God damn it, Jake. Oh wow. So, and there've been plenty of times apparently, where Jake the Snake Roberts showed up to whole uh like shows just completely fucked up, and like there's a part here where what the fuck is it? Just a dildos. Oh, this
It's a snake in a phallic shape.
oh, the snake, yeah. And then in a 10-year period where more than like, he was just fucked up most of the times. Anytime he made a public appearance, you just people hear about what the fuck is Jake doing now. And Robin had her problems with alcohol too, uh, mostly to deal with like the after wrestling and just dealing with the demons. Grizzly finally died at 77 in 2010. And Richard, the one son he gave up for adoption, was the one that was actually the one taking care of him. Kind of like the one he never knew.
Yeah.
He ended up taking care of him in his last days. Because the other three that he knew, the other four that he knew, did not want to even be around him at all. Because he was such a manipulative bastard. and they show photos, and they look so happy when they're young. But you just see them all, and they have not had a fun time. You really feel for like their story, but they survived, and somehow Jake survived. I don't know how Jake the Snake Robber survived. His story is an inspiration. If he can survive drugs, you can survive drugs.
Don't do drugs, people.
Don't do drugs, people. What's bad for you?
Don't do illegal drugs, people.
Only do drugs that are allowed in your state.
Yes.
Or country.
Our country.
Yeah, or country. We can have international viewers all around. Just don't do illegal drugs.
Don't do illegal things in general.
I wish we had like I need to set up a keyboard for sound effects, so we can do closings and stuff like that. Because we're at what? Oh wow, we dragged it for 2 hours.
Jesus.
We did cover about a week and a half worth of news though. This is a makeup episode, considering that we didn't show. We calling ourselves weekly game dudes. We didn't show up weekly.
To be fair, it was mainly my fault because I was in Vegas.
It's fine. I was trying to fill in. It was my fault too. I couldn't fill in. I tried to get some co-hosts or someone to fill in, and I couldn't. No bueno. But we do have some cool ideas for future episodes. We have a couple of people that want to come in and saying some stuff. Alex, for example, wants to come in and talk about yoga and nutrition. I think Ryan would come in and talk about music. Mavs, you're more than welcome to invite anybody that wants to join and talk about anything. So just pay attention to our Twitter, our social networks. We'll be giving you guys updates there on any news related to the show. Follow me on Twitch is the best place to find me. Raging Games, of course, you find us here. We also have a YouTube page, Raging Games, and we also have a Twitter page, a Raging Games, Instagram page. If you want to follow Sheriff Snorlax here, the artist formerly known as Mavnex Seg. What are your handles across all the different places? They're mostly Lucky Nez right now, right?
Nice and clean and simple. It should be found under Lucky Nez everywhere.
Just Lucky Nez everywhere. And
yeah, mostly everywhere.
For
if you find one of my social medias, you'll find all of them.
You'll find
they're all linked somehow.
They're all linked somehow. If you find me on Facebook as Jose Pilar Escobedo, you can find me in the Google as a locksmith if you try hard enough. And yeah, I think that's it for an episode. We'll be back maybe later this week with a third episode to kind of get back on the track, or we just might just wait till next week. I'll put a Twitter out later when we discuss that. We'll try to see if there's enough news to cover on Friday to be worth the episode or not. How much stupid shit can happen between now and Friday?
Probably a lot.
Okay. So until next time. Sorry, now guys. We gotta work on our buy. At least my buy.
Huh? What could have possibly ended with?
I was thinking sayonara, folks. We can always edit things out. This is just our ending at this point. We could sit here and just discuss the ending, and I could just edit it out the actual one.
Well, I'm just gonna use the usual piece.
All right, sayonara, folks.